Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wind Down Friday. Today, our guest is Razvan Rusu, Global Engineering Director at Richardson RFPD. Hi, Razvan. Thanks a lot for being here. Welcome aboard.
Hi, Mauricio. Thanks a lot for having me. It's been a
Good.
pleasure.
Thanks a lot. How is it going? Everything's good?
Everything good. We're just waiting for the holidays, and we're gonna close another year of the big
Yeah.
chapter.
Yeah. So, Razvan, your career spans a fascinating road from digital transmission to leading a global engineering director, your current company, Richardson RFPD. So, could you share something about your background, something about your career, some of the most memorable challenges or innovation that have shaped your career?
Absolutely. And I'm 34, almost 35 years into this, and time flies when you have fun. But I'm very, very fond, Mauricio, of my first years of my career when I was back in Romania, working for the mobile, not the mobile, the telecom operator, the only operator in the country, and I witnessed and was part of the transition, major transition from analog to digital,
Yeah.
in terms of systems for back then telephony. So it was fascinating to be part of such a major transformation that had a huge impact in the society in general, and obviously in the economic growth of the country. Just to give you an example, when I joined, the country had 8 kilometers of optical fiber
Mm.
laid and zero digital subscribers. That was probably in the early 90s. And when I left in 1996, I think we laid about 8,000 kilometers of fiber. We deployed systems and we put systems in service. And I think at that time we had about 1 million digital subscribers, which probably became, multi-million or over 10 millions over the years. But it was like a very, very steep transition
Mhm.
to digital that, it all took place in like 4 or 5 years. So that was number one. And I'm really, really fond of those times. Then from my design engineering days, I remember being part of the the big wave that the mobile phone or the mobile phone networks triggered back in 96, 97. In fact, when I moved to Canada, one of my first jobs was as an RF design engineer for a company building equipment for 2G systems, repeaters or base stations. And I remember being part of a design team that built the first multi-carrier amplifier back then for the 1X CDMA for a bunch of customers in South Korea. And then slowly, we made it into the transition to 3G when, if you remember the multi-carrier GSM and Edge standards were the default standards. I mean, the complexity of moving from 2G to 3G in terms of hardware and software was huge. And again, it was all about transitioning and about innovating and about bringing value to our customers and eventually to mobile operators. So I was part of that 2 to 3G transition, and ever since I joined, the other side of the world, which is technical sales. I was part of the journey of enabling customers innovate rather than do it myself or myself and my team. And I think that's a life-changing experience, and gives you a lot of satisfaction to see customers being impacted by the technology you promote and the support that you provide.
Yeah. Good. So 3G, 4, 5. So how do you see emerging trends like 6G or just also 7G probably? So how do you see emerging trends for the future of telecommunications and related industries?
Well, I believe that we're going to eventually get there. There is definitely a path to 6G, although the development is in very early stages.
Mhm.
I feel that we're not quite done with 5G, and the mobile operators and even the consumer didn't extract the value that 5G promised yet. But all signs point towards 6G now, and I recently read about ITU, and
Mm.
they had launched this IMT 2030 vision project that defined the requirements and the roadmap for 6G. If you remember 20 years ago, maybe you're too young to remember. We were talking about IMT 2000. We're talking about 3G, and here we are at IMT 2030. So they're looking into the requirements. I know that the 3GPP body has started to study what happens beyond 5G, and they plan to release the first standard, I believe, by 2028. But everybody's getting ready,
Mhm.
Test equipment manufacturers, also infrastructure OEMs. They're all watching and they're all making preparations. And obviously, we're going to see. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a combination of sub 8 gigahertz and millimeter wave spectrum being used, as well as advanced technologies like we've seen with 5G, such as massive MIMO, beamforming,
Okay.
network slicing, network software-defined networks. That will eventually drive the need for new algorithm creation, perhaps new waveforms, and definitely new development and new silicon. But it's all about the use cases that 6G promises on enabling, and what use cases will benefit from 6G. If you think about terabit speeds, low latencies applications, or what application requires greater capacity. Everything points towards automation system, robotics. I would think distributed sensing and communications, artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
and a combination of non-terrestrial and terrestrial networks that will enable extreme data rates. So we shall see, Maurizio, but I think we're all heading in that direction.
Good. So, Razvan, let's do a step back. So, stepping away from the tech world as the philosophy of Wind Down Friday. Which are your hobbies, activities that help you to stay relaxed, to recharge your battery? Tell me more about you. If some of them, these hobbies, also influence your professional perspective. So, tell me more.
Absolutely. And thanks for the question. So, besides spending some of my free time working around the house, which actually relaxes me a lot and gives
Mhm.
me satisfaction when things are getting done, I'm a big sports fan. You know, Calcio, soccer was
Good.
my my main one. I still watch, and
Me
follow
too.
La Liga, Serie A, and Premier League. I used to play all the way through 2019, possibly twice a week, and then COVID hit and kind of
Mm.
put a dent into my plans. I'm also getting older, so there's no escaping that. So sports, football, motorsports. I'm a huge fan of motorsports. Unfortunately, I can only watch. Travel. I used to travel the world for business, but I believe that I would like to do a little bit more travel for pleasure when the time permits, and visit places that are on my bucket list. and obviously music. I listen to music every day. I think it gives me tranquility,
Yeah.
and it gets me thinking.
Classical music.
Yes, and all kinds. I don't have a certain genre. I mean, I could listen in a day to classical, baroque, and the next day to jazz fusion or even hard rock. So, yeah, that's where I am.
Which is your favorite team, soccer, football team?
Oh my God, I have to say it was back in the day Sampdoria with Gianluca Vialli
And Roberto Mancini.
and Roberto
That
Mancini.
was a great team. Yeah, did it.
Yeah, that was my favorite team, and when they lost the first, all I remember, the first Champions Leagues against Barcelona, I cried that day, and I was probably 20 years old.
Good. So, Razvan, thank you. So, let's imagine. So, if you could, I have another question. If you could host a dinner party with some people, with 3 people, for example, from the industry, from the world of industry and business, so that who have influenced your career, inspired you in some ways. So, which are these people? Who would they be and why? Of course, you select
3 people.
these people. Yeah, 2, 3 people.
3 people. Well, that's a small list.
A small dinner party. Yes.
I'll probably have to plan for a bigger dinner party, but the first person that will get in will be for sure my professor or supervisor who helped me with my thesis when I graduated back in 1996. We still keep in touch, and he's always great to talk to about anything, not only technology, but also is giving me great advice over the year on many topics. Obviously, my first manager who convinced me to make the transition from designing to technical sales, and explain to me how I can put in value and my technical abilities and how to combine those with a good business acumen and how to become successful. I only worked for him for about a year, maybe a year and a half, but he had a big impact on my future career development. The person who hired me into Richardson Electronics back then, we operated under the Richardson Electronics brand 20 years ago when I joined the company. A visionary, somebody who always pushed me out of my comfort zone and got me thinking about the future and long term and value. But Maurizio, the list is very long. I don't know if I could narrow it to just 3 people. I mean, every manager that I worked for in my career was an influence on me, and not only a manager, but also my peers and in my reports, exceptional people. So I was very lucky in that aspect.
Great, thank you. So Razvan, if you had to explain wireless technology to someone in the arts, not engineer, so say a poet, musician, painter. So how would you creatively described image to describe its impact on our world?
I would say that we're not that different. They're not, wireless communication systems and art are not that different because the artist uses some sort, if you think about it, they use some sort of a communication system to convey their message or to produce that emotion, right? And to get you thinking. It's up to you on how you receive and process that information. So for instance, you mentioned painting and music, right? So with music is very simple. It's all about vibration. It's all
Yes.
about time signatures. It's all about beats per minute. Talking about frequencies. It's all about progression. So um, you have an audio spectrum that your ear perceives as information, and your brain decodes as information. It's up to you how you make sense, or how you build that emotion, right? So everybody's different. So here's your communication system, and to a certain extent, the painter is using the same communication system. The perception of color, right, or color combination depends on, because color is not inherent to the object, right? It's all about how the object absorbs and reflects that wavelength, right?
Right.
So the human eye is the receiver in this. It's not the ear, as in the case of music, but the human eye is the receiver, and you can only see a small portion of the spectrum, of the frequency spectrum, which is probably in, I don't recall from memory, in the 400 to 700 nanometers, which translates into hundreds of terahertz of frequency spectrum. So I believe that we're actually very similar. We're actually resort to using communication systems to transmit information or convey that messaging. And finally, if you want to put it all together, what connects everything is math. If you think about it, I read in some paper that music stimulates the part of the brain that is used when you do math. In fact, children who actually play an instrument from early ages they have a better chance of doing really well in school with math than those who aren't playing an instrument. It's actually a fascinating story. I think it's all about vibration, and the universe vibrates. That's the theory of vibration, that everything in the universe, from vast galaxies to the tiniest particle, vibrates, and that's how information is being created and transmitted.
Nice. And there is a sentence, I guess, a quote from Tesla or Einstein about vibration. I don't remember now, but there is something about this one. Very nice.
Yeah.
So, Razvan, in conclusion, as we wind down, so tell me, what is your key message that you would like to leave our community? But in particular, what's one exciting project or industry trend that you are raising your glass for the future of RF and wireless technology as global engineering director at Richardson RFPD? So, what are key strategies you focus on to drive innovation, maintain competition? So, what's next for the 2025?
Well, in terms of maintaining our competitive edge, this is a never-ending initiative of maintaining that edge. And how do we do it? It's all about trying to bring value to your partners, customers, and your organization by pushing and promoting leading edge technology. And I believe that that is our key difference, and it has been for like decades. We always led with the best suppliers, best technology, and we always had the best talents, talking about human talents, which is again a huge differentiator for us. So we're going to continue to reshape our portfolio line card, update our skill sets to support new technologies, and I think that's something that we can do on our own. It's not dependent on the market or the geopolitical confrontations that you witness these days. So there's something that we can control. And in terms of trends, there's no secret, Mauricio. The industry has witnessed probably the most severe downturn since 2008. A long overdue, if you ask me. We've been enjoying 15 years of almost continued growth. I would say is probably as severe, if not more severe, the 2008 cycle, but it's a cycle. That's the good news. And I think if we didn't hit bottom, we will soon. And I'm hoping that in 2025 we'll see mild recovery. And some of the trends that will drive that, I think we mentioned communications. I believe the 5G rollout, slowed in 2024, but will probably resume in 2026 to a certain extent. Obviously, test and measurement is part of that. The test equipment has to be available first before the equipment is being produced. It was a very slow year for test and measurement, and I believe that 2023, the second half, was the same. We're expecting test and measurement to show signs of recovery, and obviously, not only lab equipment, but also ATE and testers for semiconductors. I think that is a big trend. Manufacturing and process automation. Everybody's talking about massive IoT deployments, sensing everything, and obviously increasing energy efficiency. I think that's a big thing. Motor drivers. Don't forget, we're not only an RF and microwave organization, but we have a huge power electronics business unit. It represents now about 30% of our business. Industrial, everything that ties into efficient power supplies or motor drivers, for instance. Power and energy will be key in our success and growth in the future. And obviously, with the increased demand of equipment for renewable energy, carbon neutrality, and so on and so forth, we're going to see technologies like wide bandgap semiconductors taking a bigger role or a bigger share. And I'm naming here silicon carbide and gallium nitride. I think those two will succeed. And finally, communications of any kind, whether they're tied to military type of communication or commercial type of communication. The need for communication system will never disappear. And I was very pleased to see satellites, LEO constellation or low orbit constellation, getting traction lately. Easier to manage, the requirements on semiconductors or components are not as stringent. Different type of a business model. So I believe we're going to witness a combination of terrestrial and non-terrestrial comms that will emerge in 2025 and forward. So I'm just hoping that we can navigate through another quarter or two of uncertainty, to say the least, and come mid-2025, we're going to start to see the light at the end of the tunnel and get prepped for the recovery.
Okay, great. So we are in conclusion, Razvan, thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for joining us to Wind Down Friday. I wish you a great weekend. I wish you a fantastic new year, 2025. And probably see you at PSIM next conference. Thank you, Razvan.
Sounds good, Mauricio. Appreciate it. Happy holidays. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.